This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, we are able to see also.
Okay, yeah, we'll get started. So today we will be talking about the importance, one of the important services in AWS called EC2, which is nothing but Amazon Elastic Cloud Compute. Okay, so as we spoke in our first class, most of the services have a prefix of like elastic, right? Which means you can scale out, scale in, or you can increase, decrease, right? Just like an elastic or rubber band, right? So all the services will be kind of having a prefix of elastic, most of the services. So this EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. Okay, two C's, right? So EC2. So let's get started. So when someone refers to virtual machine, EC2, or instance or server, all these terms refers to EC2 only. Okay, so invariably we'll be using sometimes server, sometimes instance, sometimes machine, right? All this will refer to EC2 service only. So Amazon EC2 provides scalable computing capacity in the AWS cloud. Using EC2 will eliminate your need to invest any hardware upfront, so you can develop and deploy application faster. Suppose if I need a Linux machine now to learn a Linux, so instead of me going out and buying a Linux CD and then installing it my laptop and then doing a dual boot and all those things will take time and money. And I assume that I will be learning Linux only for 1 hour per day, right? So the 23 hours the Linux will stay idle, but still I would have already invested money in that, right? Instead of that, we can go and create an on-demand virtual instance with Linux, play with it and destroy it, and you just pay only for the time that you have used, right? So you can use EC2 to launch as many as or few virtual servers as you need. You can configure your own security, networking, storage, everything can be configured. So EC2 enables you to scale up or scale down to handle changes in your requirements or your traffic spikes, and you can also reduce your forecasting of your traffic. Say for example, you are having an e-commerce site and tomorrow you are planning to do a sale, Sunday sale, right? From say 9 to 5. So if you think that your site is being visited by 10 people on an average per day, and you're expecting 50 people to log in on Sunday, what happens if the 500 people logs in, right? So your applications might crash. So this is where we will do a dynamic scaling, and it will adjust to the load, and based on the condition it will bring up more servers or it will reduce the servers. So you don't have to worry, don't have to like spend a lot of time in forecasting your traffic to your website. Okay, very important, pay only for the capacity you actually use. So we only pay for what we use, how much time we use. And you can choose between Linux or Windows or Mac. Mac has also been included as part of this, but that's not under free tier, but still you can go and spin up your Mac instance as well, Linux or Windows or Mac. You can choose, you have a flexibility to choose where your servers need to be, whether you want it to be in US East 1 region or in Mumbai region or in Sydney region or inside that Sydney region, which availability zone you want, right? All those things you have a flexibility to go and choose. So as I told you, virtual computing are nothing but instances or servers, everything means the same thing. So what we have is we have something called Amazon machine images. They are nothing but pre-configured templates where you have all your softwares, OS and its dependency softwares are there. Just like our Windows image, we have something called Amazon machine images. Okay, they are some kind of template. So if you wanted a Linux machine, we will get a Linux template and we can go and spin up from there. And then various configurations of, you can select your CPU, how much virtual CPU you want, how much memory you want, how much storage, networking capacity, all these are all you can select, and these are all called as instance type. So you can select the instance type. Based on the instance type, you will get different types of CPUs, memory, storage, etc. And very important, you can log in. How will you log into these machines, right? So you have a secure login for your instances using key pairs. Okay, we will create key pairs where the public key will be stored in AWS and private key will be downloaded to your local. And when you try to connect this virtual machine to machine, you have to pass this private key. If the private key matches the public key, then the handshake will happen and it will allow you to log into the machine. We will see how this works. So they are called key pairs. We have volumes, just like a hard drive. We have volumes like C:, D:, right? We have volumes. We have storage for temporary volumes that can be deleted whenever the instance is stopped. That is called instant store volume. And we have a persistent storage volume that is called Amazon Elastic Block Store, EBS. EBS volumes, right? EBS are persistent. Instant store volumes are non-persistent. That means whenever you destroy the machine, that particular data that you stored in instance volume will go away. Okay. Amazon EBS volumes are just like your external hard drive, right? Where you can plug and play. Then multiple physical locations for your resources, such as instances, EBS, like we know that they're all nothing but regions and availability zones. So you have a high flexibility to go and choose which region you want or which availability zone within the region you wanted your machine to be created or your workload to be created. Very important, a firewall that enables you to specify which protocol, what port number, which source can access this your machine, all those things. They are called security groups. So we will see deep in security groups. What are those? Very, very important. As I keep on saying, by default, AWS is private. There is no access unless you explicitly give access. That's what we saw last time. We created a user. We did not give any permission. When we try to log into that user, he is not able to do anything, right? So that is what happens. So we'll have to like kind of understand this virtual firewall security group. Very important. You will get for your interview and for your exam. You'll get a lot of questions on this security groups. When we talk about security groups, I'll say you what are the things that you need to keep in mind for your interview. Then we have something called static IPv4 address for dynamic cloud computing, known as elastic IP address. There are different types of IPs we will talk about when we go to that section, but this is just an overview of your EC2. There are some metadata known as tags. Tags are there. Tags are there for so you can tag the resource, and that will be tracked in your organization billing, centralized billing by finance. So the finance team will know which team has created which resource, right? So tags are optional as per. 1 minute, just give me a minute. Sorry guys, somebody was at the door. Okay, so metadata, the tags are optional as per AWS, but in your organization they are enforced as mandate, because that will be used to kind of organize your resources. And when you get the final bills from the AWS, your organization can track which team has created this resource. They may question, right? Suppose you are getting $100 the bill for every month, and suddenly there is a spike in the bill for $500. They can go back to the bill, drill down and see which team or who has created this. So for that, we will be using tags. So you will use some key value pairs to tag your resources. But as per AWS, it is optional, okay? But our organizations enforce this. And even though we say AWS is a public cloud, we can still create our own virtual private cloud within the public space. Okay, you have your own private space for you that is called virtual private cloud. So this is a separate topic that we have. This is regarding your networking. We will talk about that. And virtual private clouds are nothing but like having a private apartment in your public street, right? That is the one. So only unless you give access to somebody, they cannot get into your apartment, right? So that is what happens. So block store, as we talked about, they are called as Amazon EBS volumes. Don't worry if you don't understand this. We will go through all these things and we will see one by one. Okay. And what are the different options that we have, right? So there are different options that we have for EC2. One is on demand. On demand is you pay for a fixed rate by hour or by second, no commitment, nothing. So if I need a machine now, on demand, I can go and create a machine and I just pay for the time that I have used. There are some options called reserved. So it provides you with a capacity reservation, but it will offer a significant discount than your on demand. But only thing is you have to have a 1 year or a 3 year agreements with AWS. You need to have an agreement with them. It is either 1 year or 3 years. There is no 2 years at all. Okay. Then there is something called spot instances. So these instances, you can bid these instances just like your auction. You can bid these instances, and this is very cheap. At the same time, you can use for some flexible workloads because these machines might not be available to you permanently. So you need to make sure that if you are using this machine, then you need to have your workloads where your data can be reproduced. After 6 hours, these machines will be gone. So say for example, you want to do a big data processing, it will take 2 hours. You don't want to pay much money, go for the spot instances. And what will happen is you get that instance and you do your processing and you release them. It's very cheap. Okay, you get a lot of savings. So what are the spot instances? So suppose somebody has got a reserved instance for 1 year or 3 year contract, and say assume that I have just put a 3 year contract with AWS, and I have run out of my business in 1.5 years. What do? The AWS doesn't refund your money. So what you need to do, whatever machine that you have purchased or reserved, you just put it as a spot instance and you give it in the market for bidding. So somebody who bids high price will get that. Okay, so that is where you get your spot instances. So spot instances are not recommended for critical sensitive applications or workloads in production. They are not recommended for that. Only wherever you have some flexible, this one you can use that. So you have something called dedicated host. So it's a physical EC2 server which is dedicated for you. So dedicated host can help you reduce cost by allowing you to use your existing server bound licenses. Suppose you have an Oracle license and which are all embedded into the chip somewhere. So you can go for dedicated host, and dedicated host means what will happen? You have access to some of the hardware components through software. So that is where your dedicated host is. By default, it is on demand. Okay, by default it is on demand. Any questions here, guys? Let me stop here. Guys, have any queries?
No, Chandra, it's clear.
Yeah. Let's move on. So before we get into this instance types and all those things, let's go first create a virtual machine and see how we can log into those machines. We will try to create one Linux machine and one Windows machine. Okay, so we will log into the console using IAM user. So if you don't know your account ID or alias, please go and fetch that. And I would always recommend to have a alias name instead of the 12-digit ID which you cannot remember. Okay, so you remember when we talked about IAM, I told you there are two types of services. One is the global service and regional services. So let's go to EC2. Either you can go here to EC2 and search, or go to the search under compute, you have EC2. Under compute, you have EC2. Everything is same. Okay. Click on this. See here, it changes to the region wherever we are. So this is a regional service, which means that if I create one machine in Northern Virginia, it will not be available in any other regions here. Okay, so they are region specific. Okay, let's quickly go through this page before we actually try to get into, right? So as we talked about, there is a top ribbon and bottom ribbon that is static. Okay, the one in the middle will dynamically change based upon your services that you select. So let's start from the right side. See here, you have all your account attributes. So you can, like, all the resources that are related to this EC2 will be listed here. So you can see all these here. Then this is where they will give you all the details about if there is any discounts going on and anything, any new things related to EC2, right? All this compute will be here. You can do that, or you can go here and you can additional information. You can see starting guide, documentation for this resource, all other resources related to EC2, forums, what is the pricing for EC2. Right click and go here, you can see the pricing for your EC2. So now we are in free tier, so we have 750 hours. But apart from free tier, what are all the different things we saw, right? Savings plan, dedicated host, per second billing, and all those things that you can see here. Then these are all some of the help topics you have, where someone might have asked some questions in the forum, which are all the topmost questions that will come here, and you can go and take a look if you need, right? And coming to the middle portion here, the left hand side, you have a quick ID filter. Each and every resource that we create in AWS creates a unique ID, unique 17-digit ID. So for this EC2, it starts with I stands for instance, I 17-digit ID. That's a unique ID. You want to search, you have hundreds of servers, you can search by here. And this is the place where it says, okay, this is a health check. This is a health check for this. What happens? Region, this is the region. All the services are operating normally in this region. There are 6 regions available, 6 availability zones available in this region. US East 1, 1A to 1F. So we will only see the names 1A, 1B, 1C, 1F. Internally, they have an ID that is US East 1, AZ6, AZ1, AZ2, AZ4, AZ3. So you don't have to remember this. You just need to remember this 1A to 1F. Okay. So I'll just give you a kind of a health check for this particular region. And coming down, you have an option. You can get some help how to migrate your virtual machines into your cloud, right? That you get this one. And you also have a scheduled event here. Is there any scheduled event that is going on in Northern Virginia? Last week on Wednesday or Tuesday, we had an outage in the SSO. So that came up here in their AWS single sign-on in this region. Okay. Now here you can go and either launch an instance or you can migrate an instance. So you can launch your instance from here also. And going on the top, this is the global, this is the dashboard that we have. So how many instances are running, how many instances in total we have. So when we say instances, it can be in running, it can be in stopped, all put together, it will show some number. And the one that is running alone will be showing here. And then how many dedicated hosts, how many elastic IPs we have, how many load balancers, key pairs, security groups, snapshots, volumes, all those things will be here. You can just see this one here. And all these things we have in the left-hand side as menu. Let's get into the left-hand side. Here, as I told you, since these are all regional service, if I create one machine in US, I cannot see the same machine in Mumbai. Or if I create something in Mumbai, I cannot see it here. So what they have given, they've given something called global view. So just to see all the machines that you created in all the regions at one shot, what will happen? You will see all your machines in one place. Otherwise, you will need to log into each and every region and find out what machine is running, right? So of course, I don't have anything running here, but you can see all the resources here. How many instances, virtual private networks are there? How many security groups are there, right? So all this will be here. So this is a global service. So that's why it's called EC2 Global View. Earlier, this was not there. So we had to log into each and every different regions and find out whether we have any. So this one running. So right now I don't have anything except in US East 1. Okay, so that's on the left side. Next we have events. When you click on events, this will show you all the scheduled events that whatever we talked about. If any event is going on or any maintenance is going on right now in this region, that will be listed here. Then, as I told you, the tags, what are the tags that we have? All this will be listed here in one place, okay, for all your servers. Then very important, limits, right? There are two types of limits. One is soft limit and hard limit. So what you mean, why we have a quota limit is, since we are using free tier, right? Since we are using free tier, you cannot go and create all the machines there because all the machines are not free. All the instance types are not free. Only one or two is free tier eligible. So if you try to select another one, right? So sometimes if you are selecting a very big machine, it might not allow you. So there is a soft limit. It may be only 0. Then what you need to do, say for example, here, see here, right? If you want to run an X2 IDN dedicated host, it's 0, which means it's a soft limit. So to increase the limit, or you want to request this, select this and say request limit increase. Okay. When you click on this what will happen? It will open up a support page, and you need to give your business justification why you wanted this in the free tier, right? Here, you need to give your business case here. Once the business case they are convinced, they will enable it for you. And there are some hard limit also. Like when we say hard limit, those things that cannot be increased even by AWS, right? Say for example, IAM, right? We can only create up to 5,000 users in IAM. So we tried creating U1 to U10, so many things, right? We can only create maximum 5,000 users in IAM. Beyond 5,000, we cannot create, so that's a hard limit. So you can go here and find your limits, and you can go and increase, decrease, and all those things, right? So these are all the 4 things that we have on the left-hand side. Let's go try to launch a machine, and let's see what are the things that we have said. So whatever that we have learned. So this is a new UI. Again, watch out for this console. Every time they keep changing this UI. Okay, the old console, let me show you. Opt out to old experience. Old was entirely different. Okay, see, old was like this. Okay, so that will go away in some time. So I always recommend you to use the new experience. So wherever you go, you will see the same. This is a new experience. So what are things that we have here? How many instances you need, right? How many instances I need? I need 1 instance for now. Okay, and you can give the name of your instance. This is nothing but your tag. Name is a key, and value is whatever value we give, right? So I say my Linux server. I'm going to create a Linux server. Scroll down. Next step, you need to select your Amazon machine image. We saw that, right? They are nothing but your, an AMI is a template that contains software, operating system, application server, and applications required to launch your instance. You can search like different flavors of this one. You can search, or we also can create our own AMI out of our applications, which we will see as we go down, right? So let me select the Amazon Linux. See here, these are free tier eligible. These are free tier eligible. Only these 2 are free tier eligible. If you go and select something else here now, you will have to pay some amount. Okay, you have to pay some amount. So as I told you, each and every resource has a unique ID. So this particular Amazon machine image starts with AMI-17-digit ID here. Okay. Next is very important, instance type. We'll talk about this instance type. So instance type is T2.micro. So we will see how to decode this T2.micro and all those things. And see here, you have option to select how much CPU you need, how much memory you need, and all those things. And they will also give you the Linux pricing as well. If it's an on-demand, we are doing an on-demand now. So it will be like 0.0116 USD per hour. On-demand Windows is always higher because Windows needs more volume, right? It needs more volume GB to bring up the Windows. Okay, that's one thing. Then I told you how we can connect to this machine using a key pair. Either you can create a new key pair, or you can use an existing key pair. Let's create a new key pair. I'll show you how to create that. So when you create a key pair type, we have 2 types of key pair. These 2 types are nothing but algorithm types. And if you see, this is not supported by Windows. The ED25519 algorithm is not supported by Windows. It is supported only by Linux. So we will go with RSA, which is supported by both Windows and Linux. So we can use the same key for both the things, right? We can put some name here. Let's put 0723, today's date, right? And there are file format, private key format. If you want to use with OpenSSH, you can use .pen key. If you want to use with PuTTY, we will see both the things. What we will do, we will first download this PEM, and I will let you know how to convert that to PPK and connect from Windows. Okay. Let's create this key pair. See, as soon as you create the key pair, this will be downloaded to your downloads folder. Please don't miss this out. Okay. If you miss this, then you cannot log into the machine. So please be very careful at doing this. Next is the network setting. When we talk about VPC, you will know all these things. For now, just leave it as it is. Only thing we'll talk about the security groups. So as I told you, the security group, what we are trying to do, since it's a Linux machine, we are going to SSH. We have to allow SSH from where? From anywhere. Either you want to allow from anywhere, or what you want to allow only from my IP, that is the IP that I logged in, or from custom. Custom means your organization's network range, right? When we talk about networking, we will see all these things. For now, let's put it as anywhere, right? Let's put it as from anywhere. Scroll down, and you see by default 8 GB will be created for the root volume. You can add additional volume. When we talk about volume, we will see what is that, right? So just go ahead and do a launch instance. Now we are launching our Linux instance. Go and say view all instances and refresh here. You will see my Linux server is in the pending status. Okay, so just hold on. Once it is up, then we should be able to connect. So what is the username for this, right? To find out the username, once this is enabled, you can go and do a connect and go to SSH Client. This is the username, EC2-user. Okay, so we will go and see how to connect from Windows, how to connect from Linux or Mac terminal as well. Right? So to connect to this, we need a public IP. This is the public IP. This is the private IP. Again, make sure private IP you cannot connect over internet, so you can only use a public IP. So copy this IP and let's go see how to connect this. So let me show you two ways. One is how to connect using a Linux terminal or using a Mac terminal, right? So if you want to mimic that, I have a bash terminal. We'll go and use that. I'm going to the place where I have the key, and this is where I have the key now, 0723 PEM, and this is I'm mimicking my Linux terminal. If you install git, you will get this git bash. Okay. So before we start, right, there are some permissions you need to give for your key, otherwise your key will not work in terms of Linux. You cannot give open full permission for your key. That also is security violation, right? So you need to go and run this command. chmod means change mode. Change mode to 400 means there is some, so 4 means read, write, and all those things, right? Read. So 400, that means only the owner will have the read permission, nothing, a group and others will not have any permission. Okay, so copy this, won't put it in your Linux terminal wherever you are PIM file is, you are now, this will be, if you're already aware of Linux, you should know what is this. See here, read, everybody has only read access. Okay, now going back to this one, the second, how do we connect using SSH? So I want to patch this identity file. Identity file is nothing but your 723.pem is my identity file or key file. What is the username? Default username for this is EC2-user. So how did we find out that? We went back here and we saw here the username is EC2. You can go and say here, I'm sorry. EC2-user is the username. And what is the public IP address? Either you can connect through public address or you can connect through your public DNS name also. Okay, anything is fine. So this is our username at this server, right? So what we are doing, SSH-i means for identity. This is the identity file I'm passing. This is the user at this IP address. So if this private key matches with the public key that is there in AWS, then it will allow me to log in. Let's go and see. So initially, first time what it will do, it will say whether you want to add this 383.138.96 into your fingerprint. Otherwise, every time it will keep on asking this. Okay, so let's go and add this into our chain of fingerprint. So it will remember this system. See, now we are inside our Linux terminal here. Sorry, Linux terminal. I have a Linux virtual machine. So now I can go and do all my Linux commands and everything. We just brought this machine just up within 5 minutes, not more than that. Any questions you guys have? Just a Linux machine is ready. You can go and run all your Linux things there, right?
Chandra, I have one doubt.
Yeah.
This is from Windows. We are virtually connecting to Linux, right?
Right. This is actually from Windows. My machine is Windows, but I'm trying to show you how to connect from Linux terminal or Mac terminal. To mimic that, I have a terminal called Git Bash. So this is how you connect from Linux or Linux. If you have a Linux machine running in your local, this is how you connect.
Okay.
If you are having only Windows, then we are going to see another tool called Putty, right? That is a SSH client. So we will use Putty to connect to this one. So let's go and see the next how to connect using Windows, right? This is for Linux terminal, Linux or Mac terminal. This is how you connect. So if you wanted to connect for Windows, there is a client called Putty. You need to download Putty and Putty Gen. These are the two tools you need to download and have it in your local Putty and Putty Gen. Okay, Putty and Putty Gen. So what this Putty Gen will do, we have a private key called .pem that will convert the key from .pem to .ppk, Putty private key. PPK stands for Putty private key. So you can convert that key and then we can connect. Okay, let's go and see how to convert that key and how to connect it. So go to Putty Gen first and go and load the key that we have already downloaded in our downloads folder 0723. Yeah, this is the key that we downloaded, and show this as all files. So it will show you on the top, and go and open this. See, this is the key actually that we have. Okay, load this here and go ahead and save this as a private key, not as a public key. Save this as a private key, and when you say, it will ask you whether you want to put any password or passphrase. Don't do that, because every time you need to give the password. So you don't have to give the password. Just leave it empty and say yes. It will ask you to save the format to Putty private key PPK. Let's go and save this as Putty private key using the same name 0723, and I'm just saving it in my desktop. So make it this one. So this Putty key generator will be used only once to convert your .pem file into .ppk file. Only if you have PEM file, you can connect using Mac or Linux terminal. Okay. If you have a PPK file, you will be able to connect only through Putty, nothing else. Okay. So this is fine. Now this key is ready. How do we connect to this machine? Let's go and see. Go to Putty. This is a SSH client interface. See, this is an SSH client which will use to connect from your Windows machine to your Linux machines. All Linux flavors will run or use only SSH and run on port 22. Okay, so let's go and get the host name or IP address. So to get the host name or IP address, go to your instances, select the instance, and under details you can see either a public IP or DNS name. Let's select this DNS name for now, because we already saw how to connect using public IP. Give this. Okay, give this. And now we already have a key. How do we go and add that key? Go to SSH, go to authorization. Inside authorization, there is a space here which says private key for authentication. Go and select this, whatever that you just did, right? 70723.ppk, right? Select this, and you need to be very careful. Whatever key that you attach to your machine is the one that you need to pass. You cannot attach 0723 and pass 0701. It will not work, because each and every key are unique. Open this. Now we are ready. Let's go and do a open. See what it will do. It will ask you again, do you want to add the fingerprint? Yes, go ahead and add it. It will ask for the login. Give the username EC2-user. Once you give this and give enter, it will start validating against the public key in our AWS that is stored in AWS, right? So it's authenticating with the public key, and now we are inside our virtual terminal now. There is no any difference after we log in either through this or through this. Both are same. Okay. Only thing is the how we log in, based upon that this will vary, but this is how it will work. See, everything is same. Any questions here, guys? If you have any doubt, I can explain you again. But get it clarified. Don't just leave it. Yeah, code symbol.
Chandra, let's assume that I have two Linux instances I have in one region. Okay, can I connect from one Linux instance to another instance by secure shell, or I have to connect?
After you log into this machine, one of the Linux machine, from there you can log in, provided you have the keys and everything in place.
Okay. Yeah, I got it. Okay.
Chandra.
Okay. And one advantage with this is you don't have to, if you are inside one machine, okay, and you want to connect to another Linux machine within the AWS, you can use its private IP, not the public IP, because they are in the same network.
How do we get the private IP? Okay, so
here is it, right? Here is a, you don't have, here is the private IP. I told you, right? This is the public IP, this is the private IP.
Okay.
And you see, we logged in using this 383.138.96, but it actually gets into your private IP 172.31.86.191. Here is the machine. So this private IP will not change. That is why it is always showing this. This is a dynamic IP. If I stop and start this machine, this will change. Okay. So that is the reason. Okay. So this is how you connect from your Linux or this one and your this one. So this is for your how to create your Linux machine. Let's create one Windows machine and see what is the difference, because Windows never uses SSH. Windows always use only username password. So we will see how to get the user, how to get the password from the key, and how to decrypt the password. Yeah.
I have one doubt. Yeah. Regarding without Linux, we can't do anything. Can we use the Windows machine to completely operate that one?
See, it's up to you, right? So basically, when you are going to any organization, all your production workloads will be running in Linux, right? You go to any production systems that is running in your company. Most of them will be running in Linux, right? Even though we all do the development in Windows and stuff, but still the final deployment happens in Linux. So my recommendation is always, please know some basic commands for Linux. That will help you.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah, let's go and launch a Windows machine. Okay, I will say this is my Windows machine, right?
And Chandra, one more thing, like after this creation of instances, do we require to delete it also? Is it chargeable, these things?
Yeah, we'll talk about the charges, right? So basically, since we are in the free tier, right, most of this will not be charged. But my recommendation is, once you are done, please, I will show you how to delete these systems or destroy this. Okay, what will happen? There are two advantages. One is you will not get charged. So even if you leave it by mistake also, right, then you may get charged. So we will have to keep our account always tidy so we don't get charged. Second advantage with this is, every time you need a machine, you go and create and you get used to those things, right? That is also very important. If you create one machine and use throughout your course, right, what will happen at the end of the course? You will not know how to create a machine. So my recommendation is always do the work. Once you are done, destroy the resources, and if you want again tomorrow, please recreate it so you get used to how to create. And when you go to your exams or your interview, you at least remember where you clicked and what you clicked, right? Otherwise you will not remember that. So if they ask you what is an AMI, then you will not know, right, if you just created only one or two machines. So my recommendation to all my students is, always finish your job and then destroy it. If you are having any issue or you want to show it to me, stop the machine before you come. Then you come here before our class, you bring up the machine, show me, we will troubleshoot, and then we will rectify it, and then we will destroy it. Okay, so that's what we will be doing. We have to do so that our we don't get charged unnecessary, right? We are working in free tier, but we should not be paying any amount. Again, free tier also has some limitations, so we need to play within those limitations. Okay, so just select Windows as OS operating system And see here, Windows Server 2019 base is a free tier eligible. Everything remains the same, right? We have to use the again T2 micro. This is an instance set, that's a free tier eligible, or you have another free tier eligible also you can use. That's a T1 micro. This is just a half a GB memory, so I'm just using this 1 GB memory. And then now we already created a key pair, so either you can use a new key pair or you can use an existing key pair. Let's use an existing key pair 723, right? Already we have that. Go down and see now what happens. Now this SSH has got changed to RDP, remote desktop protocol, right? Because we are using Windows, so it has now changed from SSH to RDP. So if you select the OS Windows, it will be RDP. So if you select Linux flavor, then it will be SSH. This is your firewall, the virtual I talked about, right? Security groups. Now, when you scroll down, you see a small difference here. Earlier, it was just 8 GB by default. Here, minimum is 30 GB. So Windows needs a lot of space to install the OS and dependencies and stuff. Okay, so let's go and launch this machine. Again, launching Windows machine will take 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, because it has to do a lot of processing. So throughout our course, we will only be using Linux machines for the rest of the course. This is the only time I will be showing you Windows. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt, Chandra. I have a small doubt.
Yeah.
You have used the keygen, right? The same keygen you have used. Yeah. So for one instant, have used one keygen, and another instance, if I use some other keygen.
Yeah, you can use. No problem. You can use any number. You can use unique keys for unique systems, but make sure the private and public key matches. That is very important.
Okay. What will be the difference if I use different keygens?
If you use different keygens, you will have to maintain so many keys, right? That is the only disadvantage you have.
Okay.
Okay. So what happens in our organization? They will maintain one key for dev, one key for production, one key for UAT for that particular application. Suppose assume that your application name is test to ABC, right? So they will have test ABC dot something dot prep, and they will say dev dot something. So that will be for dev. Similarly, they will create one for UAT, one for production. Now, because in our organization, they will be creating hundreds of machines, right? They cannot maintain these many keys. Sometimes people will send the wrong key, which they will not be able to log in. Correct?
Yes.
So it's always better to create one key and use that key multiple times, so we don't lose the key, or we don't kind of need to maintain so many keys also.
Okay, Chandra, got it. So and if we lost that key, can I get it again?
No.
Okay, got it. Thank
you. That is why the public key is with them and private key is with us, and we need to keep it in secured place, so we will be able to log into that.
Okay.
If you miss the key, it's going to be very, very difficult procedure to do this. What you need to do, you can do, but it's in a different way, like kind of eating your food, like in the opposite to this one, right? So you have to like kind of put your hand and come and touch your another ear and then eat, right? That's a different route you need to take. You need to create another machine, detach this volume, attach it there, bring it up, create a new key, bring it up there, and then you can take the key and then attach it here. Something that you need to do. It's very laborious and most intensive work also for that. So it's always better not to kind of lose this key. So your companies will have Vault. What they will have, they might have some Vault products, and they will use this Vault products there. Okay, so now this is Windows. So how do we get the password, right? So let's go to Windows and do a connect to get the password. Okay, go to the RDP client. Go down, you see it says get password, right? So your username is administrator, this is your IP or domain name, and this is your password. How do we get the password? We already have a some key attached to that. So go and browse that key wherever it is. See the 70723 keys I have attached. Go and browse that key, and from that key pair we need to decrypt the password. Let's go and see how to do that, right? That's very, very important. Without this, you will not be able to log in. See, this is this one. So what we can do, go and say decrypt password and just scroll down, see what happens. We'll get the password for this particular machine. So let's go and try to log in. Either you can download a remote desktop file here directly, or if you already have, you can say MST SC is your remote desktop, right? Go and say open. You will get this. Copy this public DNS first and give it here. Okay, 58.5, right? Yeah, 58.5. Then this is the username. Since we are already logged into, I'm in Windows, I have already logged into some account in Windows, so you will have to change the account name. So once you get into your remote desktop, if everything is fine, it will start opening your Windows. Now here I am already logged into my account, so go to more choices and say use a different account, because now the username is administrator and this is the password. Okay, if you are permanently using this machine, I would recommend you to change the password. Okay, and say okay. Now it will connect using administrator, and this one it will ask you for this connection. Just go ahead and say yes and see what happens, right? If everything goes well and your keys are like fine, you will be getting into Windows like this. Your Windows machine will take some time to get itself ready. So this is your normal Windows machine, and you can go and do all the things that you can do with Windows. Always keep in mind, if you launch a Windows machine, it's going to take some time. Okay, and you need to wait and encrypt your decrypt your password from the existing private key file. Then you need to log into RDP using administrator as the default username, and then you can do. If you are in an organization, they will connect this to your organization domain, so you can use your company's username password to log into this, because that will be in the domain and that will be authenticated using your Active Directory in your company. Okay, just hold on, this will take few minutes, right? As usual, Windows will take time. So this is how you can log into Windows, create a Windows machine and log in. So Linux flavor, everything is same. The flavors might be different, but the way that we create and connect are same. The Windows is this, you need to create and connect using RDP, remote desktop protocol. See here, this gives you all the details about this machine. What is the host name? What is the instance ID? Public IPv4 address, private address, what instance type we chose, T2 micro, which availability zone. We did not specify any availability zone. We told no preference, so we just put it in US East 1C under US East 1 region. Architecture, which architecture it is using, what is the total memory, what is the network performance. So these are the things that you get for Windows. Now this is like just your normal Windows. There is nothing different, right? Everything is same. So you can go back and you can go to your C colon, D colon and everything, right? You can go and do all sorts of things, just like Windows. So how easy it is to bring these virtual machines in AWS. Within 5 minutes, we are able to spin up a Linux machine or a Windows machine. Okay. Any questions you guys have? Again, just for your information, I will not be using Windows machine for anything, because our motive is not to learn Windows or Linux. Our motive is to learn AWS. So for that, I will be spinning most of the things on Linux. Okay. 2 reasons for that. Okay. One is it will take time. Windows will take time, and Linux is easy because you can run some command line scripts there, right? So this is what we have for how to launch your virtual machines. Very, very simple. Now, if I want to learn Linux, I just bring up this machine. I start learning Linux, right? So whatever I have, like, okay, I want to learn something. Okay, go ahead and learn, right? Go try these commands and see whether you want to test something, some Linux commands and all those things. You can go and see here, right? All these things that you can see. If you want some Windows machine to do some processing, go and create this Windows machine. Do the processing. It is automatically connected to net, because we are in the default network. Once we study about networking, then we have to go and configure our own internet and all those things. Okay, we will see when we talk about VPC. Okay, so this is so easy to create these things. Any questions you guys have? So please try this out. Okay, once we are done today, once you go back, please try this when you have some time. Then you will understand what we are actually talking about, right? Okay, now let's talk about this instance type, right? What are these instance types? We told some instance type .t2.micro. So what are those things, right? We need to know about that, and we need to decode that also, right? So there are some families, some specialty and use cases, right? These are all families. F1 family, I3 family, G3, H1, T2. We used to T2 micro, okay? D, R4, M, C, P, X. There are a lot of families. I have given you the link here. You can, this is a live, this one you can go and see what is there. This is the one I just took when we created this deck some 4 to 5 months before, right? So these are all the families. So when we choose F family, the specialty of this is like it will be used for your FPGA, all this programmable gate array, right? And use cases for genomics research, financial analytics, real-time video processing, big data. You need this big machine. So this is the type I3. So T2 that we selected, T family is the lowest cost general purpose. Of you can use small for small DBs and web servers, you can use this. So R family is memory optimized, C is compute optimized. So these are all different types of things that you have, and you can go and see here what are the things that we have. You can go and take a look at this. Let's quickly go through that and see what is that, right? See, these are all instances. So general purpose. So this is a use case, and these are all the families we have. And once we go into this family, say T2, that's what we did, right? Go into the family, then you will see what is this T2, what are its capabilities that you can see here, and you can go down. We have different. This is what free tier eligible is, T2 micro, which means you get one virtual CPU, you get 6 credits per hour, and you have 1 GB of memory, and it uses the EBS storage, not the instant store volume, and the network performance is from low to moderate. So this is your T2 family, right? So like this you have for each and every family. If you want compute optimized, you need more computing power, go to this, and you can see all these servers down here. You can see 64 CPUs, 128 GB, you get around 20 Mbps, right, for this particular machine, and all those things, right? So these are all the different types of machines that you have, or instance types. They are called instance types. So if you go to memory optimized, you have R families, I told you, right? The R families are memory. If you need accelerated computing like P3, like it uses a very latest processes which is used for graphics and high processing computing, right? So this is what you can use. And storage, if you need more storage, you can go for storage optimized machines, and those machines will have like SSDs and other things, right? A lot of things it will have storage like 128 GB memory and all this network bandwidth, and you can have this EBS bandwidth also, right? Input output per second you can have. So all those things you have, right? So some of the instance features, if you want, you can go and see here, and you can see the instance performance, how you can measure them. So these are all different types of instance types. Now how do we decode this, right? I'm fine with this. How do we decode? So this is one of the instance type. We have R5 DN.8x large. How do we decode this? First R stands for instance family. The first R stands for instance family. This R belongs to memory optimized instances. Okay, so that is instance family. So if you go back, R stands for memory optimized. Okay, so this is a memory optimized system. The first R stands for instance family. The second number stands for instance generation. R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, like that, right? The second, the third two letters for additional capabilities. This particular machines, additional capabilities in the hardware, what they give you, that you can go and check in the site that I gave you. You can go and check what are the different additional capabilities you have for this machine. And after this dot, you have instance size. So it's like our t-shirt, like large, small, medium. So you have micro, small, nano, large, X large, and 2X large. So when we say large means Large means it's actually 4. Large means 4 CPU. So 8x large means 8 into 4, 32 CPUs you will get in this particular machine. So that is how you need to see here. So when you go back, you can see the, say, let's go to general purpose, for example, and let's take this T2 micro, right? T2, T3 family, right? You scroll down, you can see here, when we say nano and micro and small, only 1 CPU, medium is 2 CPU, large is 2 CPU, X large is 4, 2X large is 8, like that 8X large is 32, 8 into 4, 32. You will get that, 32 CPUs. So if we go to memory optimized, and we saw D5, R5 we saw, right? R5, this is where R5 we have. So go back down, you will see R5 DN something we saw, right? Something should be there somewhere in this. You can go and search that. And when we say, see here, when we told 8x large, 8 into 4, 32 machine, 32 CPUs you will get. So this is how you need to decode your this one. So when you go back to your organization or in the interview, then they may ask you what is an instance type. This is what you need to say. The after the dot, it is a size. And before that, these are all how you need to decode your this one. So what we saw in our case is T2.micro. So T is your instance family, 2 is your generation, and there are no any additional capabilities because this is a general machine. So T2.micro means it's a size. We have only 1 CPU. Any questions here, guys? Before we move on to the next one.
No, sir.
Okay. So these are all the different ways how you can create your machines. And this one. Now let's go to this set here, right, and see what is that. So we talked about these are the instances. So either you can go to the dashboard, and under the instances you will only see this instance, and you can also do a filtering of this also. You can do a instance state and say filtering only if instance is equal to running, and will show only the running machines here, only these two. Okay, so you remove the filter, it will show all the machines which are all stopped and running. Okay, so the next is the instance type. That's what we saw now. So we have different instance type. You can take a look here also. So this is also updated one, just like the real-time update what we have. So both this particular site and this one will be up to date. This will take some time because it has to load everything. See, like this, right? T2 micro, T2 micro, T2 nano, a lot of things. You want either you can go select your this one directly, or see all the free tier eligible you want to see. Free tier eligible equal to true, filter only these two are free tier eligible for us right now. Okay, sometimes somebody will get T2 nano also. Okay, it again depends what you want to do. Okay, you want to do an instance family. Say for example, I want an instance family of a very big machine, right? Maybe M3. See, this is what you get, M3, 2x large, you get 8 CPUs like this, right? You can go and check all these things. If you don't have a filter, it will show you everything by page. You can go and you can go ahead and check that out. Then we'll talk about this launch templates when we talk about auto scaling. Then this is the spot request, right? That we were talking about spot instances. You can go and request a spot instances. You can say, I need this machine. I need these are the keys I need to be attached. And you can go and put this and put your bidding price and say, okay, I need this one. And if that particular amount is reached, then you may get a machine or you might not get. It's up to you. See here, if you select the one that we have approximate 0.898, 75% savings compared to on demand, you will get it. So you can launch a spot instance as well. Now there are two ways to do this. One, you can request and wait, or while creating also you can check the price for spot. Let's go launch an instance. Okay, let's launch an instance. Go to this, select this Amazon Linux, and See here, when you click on the spot instances, at this point of time, in this region, in this availability zone, this is the current bit price that is going on, 0.0035. So now if you give 4.5 cents per hour, for example, automatically a spot instance will be allocated to us. Okay, and it will be available for 6 hours. Okay, so you can do your work within 6 hours and destroy that system. If you don't destroy, automatically it will get terminated. You will lose your data. So if you are using anything, any data in this machine, please make sure that data are reproducible or it is already present somewhere. So this is on the spot instances. Then savings plan. These are all something, there are a lot of savings plans they have. You can go through this, they will say, okay, you will get this discount if you do that, if you purchase the saving plans, right? There are different types of savings plan they have. You can go through all those things, and based upon your requirement and your organization's business needs, you can go and select and all those purchase a savings plan. So savings plans, if you purchase, you will get some discounts, right? Then reserved instances, that's what we saw. You can go and reserve your purchase a reserved instance. You can do that also. You can go and purchase what platform you want, what instance type you want, tenancy you want, whether you want any term, like see 1 to 12 months or 12 to 36 months, right? So this is what you can do. 1 year or 3 year commitment. You have a payment option, whether you want to pay some partial upfront, no upfront, or all upfront, right? You can go and select your based on that, and you can go and add it in your cart, and then you can reserve that instance for you, and you start paying that amount. Okay. And dedicated host, we saw whenever you need any dedicated host where you need some access to the hardware components, you go for dedicated host. Okay, you go and allocate a dedicated host, it will get allocated for you and it will get charged from there. All these are not free. Okay, I just want to show you what are those things. Scheduled instances, you can also schedule instance. You can purchase a scheduled instance. You can say, bring me two machines, right? Bring me 2 machines on coming Sunday. I need Sunday, whether you want every week, every day, or only once, right? You can go and do all those things. So you can schedule, and at that point of time, your instance will come up, right? So you can get all the details based upon different things that you select. It will say you how much charge you it will incur. Then you have capacity reservation. You can also reserve your capacity. These reserved instances are different. Reserved capacity is different. Reserved capacity means I need this many GB, that much GB, right? You can put that. So this is the capacity. You can go and reserve. See, instance type. This will only show all big machines, not the small machines. Okay. So you can go and reserve. Whether you want a reservation ends manually or specific time the reservation will end. You can choose all those things, and you can go and create this. It will create. So these are different types of instances that we have. By default, all the instances that we create are on demand. Create are on demand. Okay. Any questions you guys have before we move to the next one? Okay, we'll move on. Next, we'll talk about, now we are going to deep dive into each and everything, right? We just saw what is EC2. We immediately saw how to create a EC2 so that we are confident that we will be able to kind of create and work with those machines, right? Now, next thing is, now let's deep dive into some stuff and see what we can do, right? So let's talk about volumes. We'll take volumes and we'll work on that in detail and see what we can do. So as I told you, there are 2 types of volumes. We have instant store volume and elastic block storage, EBS volumes. Storage volumes that can be attached to EC2 machine. So by default, we have a root volume that will get attached. That is where the OS and everything will be there. And apart from that, you can add additional volume to store your application data and stuff. Okay, you can have file systems, or you can install your database and you can run in those hard drives as well. And whenever you create a volume, it will automatically replicate it within the availability zone. So you are creating in US East 1, it will automatically create one in another 2 regions, 1B and 1C or somewhere, so that it is for resiliency. Whenever you need, you can take it from there. Very important, only one volume can be attached to one machine. You cannot attach the same volume to multiple machines. Think of this as a external hard drive, right? So you have an external USB stick or hard drive. At any point of time, you can only attach one USB to one machine. You cannot attach the same USB to multiple machines. You cannot do that, right? So it's similar to that. One EBS volume cannot be mounted to multiple EC2 machine. In that case, if you need one volume to be attached to multiple, then use EFS. EFS is elastic file system. That is nothing but your it's a network storage. Okay, so when you attach, it is available over the network and it can be used by multiple systems. But in case of EBS, you are only attached one volume per this one. So there are two types of volumes. One is EBS volume, another is instant store volume. EBS volumes, data stored on EBS volumes can persistent independently of the life of the instance. That means the storage is persistent. If I store something in that hard drive, even if I detach and attach later, the data should be there. That's what we are going to see, right? How to do that. Then based on EC2 instant store volumes they are not persistent. They are like cache, right? They are like memory cache, RAM. So when you reboot the machine or when you stop the machine, all those data in the cache will be gone. So here the storage is called non-persistent. The term they use for this is ephemeral. So when you sit for your exam, you will not see non-persistent. You will only see the term ephemeral. Ephemeral means they are non-persistent. So this particular type is non-persistent. So there are different types of EBS volume for different workloads, and each and every type carries its own price also, right? So we have general purpose SSD. SSD stands for solid state drive. And now if you go and buy a computer, go and buy a laptop or a desktop, they will recommend you to go for SSD because SSDs are solid state drives and they are very, very fast. So you can have your OS there, it will boot very fast. And you can have your data volume as an external hard drive. So you have general purpose SSD, which is called GP2, and that's a balance for price and performance. And this is the one that we get by default in our AWS. So you have ratio of 3 IOPS. IOPS means input output per second. How much data can be passed through that volume per second, right? That is what it says. So you can pass up to 10,000 IOPS using this GP2, but you have an ability to burst up to 3,000 IOPS. Up to 3,000 IOPS you can use under 1 GB. If you are having 1 GB, we can burst up to 3,000 IOPS. You have something called provisioned IOPS. Provisioned IOPS. So here, for any input-output intensive applications like larger database, NoSQL databases, you can use your provisioned IOPS. So here you can go up to 20,000 IOPS per volume. You can go and provision up to 20,000 IOPS per volume. So that means for all your high-speed computing, you can use this. So what is the difference between general purpose and this one is? General purpose, if you are creating 30 GB and you are using only 8 GB, you pay only for 8 GB. But in provision, if you are saying you want to create 30 GB, whether you use 1 GB or 30 GB, you pay for 30 GB because you are provisioning it for you. That means they have provisioned it for you alone. So that means whether you are using it or not, you need to pay for 30 GB. That's the difference. Apart from performance, that is the difference. Then you have a throughput optimized HDD hard disk drive, okay, for magnetic disk for your sequential data, and you can use for big data, data warehouse, log processing, etc. But this cannot be a boot volume or a root volume. You cannot attach this throughput optimized as a root volume. Okay, it can only be attached as a data volume. Again, you have cold HDD. This is a low-cost storage for infrequently accessed workloads, and you can use it as a file server. And this also cannot be a root volume. Then you have magnetic, the standard one that we normally use. It's bootable and is used for infrequently accessed data. So these are all different types of volumes that we have. So let's go back and see what volume we have, how to create a volume, how to attach, detach, and all those things we will see. Okay. I will share you these steps that we have. Okay, so you can make use of those Linux commands if you're not aware. So what we have in this, I'm going to use this Linux server. Okay, in this Linux server, if you go to storage, storage is where your volumes are. Click down, see what happened. This is the volume ID. We have 8 GB. That is the default one. It is attached and it is as the root. it is having a root volume. I'm going to create a new volume and attach it here and write some data and see how we can do that, right? So for that, what we need to do, let's go to volumes. Again, since they are all availability zone specific, you need to make sure the volume is created in the same availability zone as your machine, US 1 East 1C. If you are creating your volume in US East 1A, that cannot be attached to your US East 1C. It is like having your USB and your laptop also should be near the USB to plug in. You cannot take this and plug into some machine which is not in that particular area, right? So you cannot do that. So let's go back and now talk about volumes. Go to Elastic Block Store. We have volumes. Let's go create a volume. Again, see here, we see we have GP2, GP3, IO1, IO2, cold, throughput, and magnetic. Okay. So let's go for this general purpose. And you can go and create how much GB you want. I'm creating 10 GB because already root volume has 8. So just to distinguish root volume and data volume, I'm creating this as a 10 GB. Availability zone, I have to create it in US East 1C because my machine is running in US East 1C only. And you can also do encrypt. You can encrypt that volume. If you want, you can use the encryption, default encryption from AWS. You can use this and you can encrypt the volume. Tags are optional, but you can go and still add, right? Let's say it's a name key value pair. Key, I'm giving it as name. I'm saying this as a data volume. Name as the data volume. Let's go and create a volume. See here, data volume I have created GP2 10 GB. It's creating. Just give few minutes. See, whenever it says in use, it is already attached to some machine. Whenever it is available, it is freely available to attach to any machine. So let's see how to attach this and how to see that, how to mount that, and how to create the file system and how to create some files and see that. So let's go select this and go to actions. You can see all the details here. If you go to tags, you can see the tags that we have created, right? Name, data volume. Select this volume, go to actions and say attach volume. When you say attach, it will list all the instances that are running in US East 1C. So we are going to attach to this, my Linux server. I'm going to attach this and it automatically attached to this drive called dev SDF, right? Attach this volume. Once this volume is attached, go and refresh and go down and see, and it will say in use now. So that means it is attached to somewhere. Now, how do we go and check this, right? Let's go and see. Okay. So some of the commands, I'll share all these commands to you and I'll explain each and every command and you guys can try out and see. Okay. So let's go and see. This is the first command to check all the block sizes that are there in attached to Linux. So let's use this command to find out what is there currently before. I think we should have done before attaching that, but anyway, that's fine. Let's go detach it first, then I'll show you. Then we will attach it, do this command, then attach it, right? Detach this volume, detach it here. Okay, and if you go back here, you will see, refresh it, it will say it's in available. Just give it a minute. See, it shows available means it's not attached. So now let's go back to our machine here and say lsblk, list the blocks, right? That's called ls means list, blk for block. List here we have only one, which is a root volume, that is 8 GB. The one that got created automatically when we created the machine, by default 8 GB. Now let's go and attach this and come back and do the same command and see what we are seeing now. Select this, go and do a attach volume, attach it to this instance, my Linux server, come back down and say attach volume. Once it is attached, now go and do the same command. See here, you can see a 10 GB now under this partition XBDF. XBDF is a partition name. The other partition name is XBDA, is reserved for the root volume. So whatever you create, it can be from A to P. F to P, sorry, F to P. So this is what we have. Now 10 GB is attached. Now can I go and write this? We cannot write this like this, right? So whenever you mount or when you attach any volume, you need to create a file system. You need to mount that file system. Then only you can write data into it, right? So let's go and see how to do that. So first thing, we need to create a file system. Let's go and check what file system we have currently in this, right? If not, then we will go and create it. Sudo stands for running the command as root. Okay, running the command as root. So we are saying run it as root. Check the file system for this partition dev xbdf, right? /dev/xbdf. So everything is mounted on /dev only by default. See, there are no any file system here. So since it's a new volume, we need to create a file system. There are a lot of file systems. One is called extended file system, and you have NTFS for your network file system, and you also NFS you have. So there are so many file systems, and we are going to use the extended file system to bring this up. So let's go and run this command. I will explain this command one by one. Don't worry. So I'm running the command. Whenever I say sudo, I'm running on behalf of root. MKFS stands for make file system. -type, -t for type. XFS is extended file system on this. So I'm going to create a file system, extended file system on this particular drive. So it's created now. See here, it shows all your block size and everything. Now if you go and run the same command, the previous command, you can see file system, SGA XFS file system. This is the block size and all those things. These are all hardware related. I am not very much familiar with that, but at least for us to learn, this is more than sufficient. Okay. Now the file system has been created. Now can we still use this? No. You have to mount this somewhere, right? Without mounting, you cannot use this drive. So let's go and do a mount, and then we will go and see how we can write this, and then detach, attach, take some backups and see. So what we have to do, let's go and create a I'm just going to create this folder. Please create it as a root. Okay, create it as a root, EBS test. And I'm going to mount this volume over that. So how are we going to mount that? This is what we are going to do. Sudo mount so what we are saying, as a root, mount this partition over this folder. So this folder will contain that partition, and we will be able to write everything, right? Go to EBS test, and now you can go and write some files there. Let's go write a file called first.txt, right? You use a VA editor. If you are familiar in Linux, you know how to write this file. Something like data volume of EC2 1. Okay, first EC2. This is the first EC2 we are creating. So we are going to attach this. There is a problem here because all these things are as root. So please run everything as root. There are two ways to do this. You can also do a echo, and you can do that. But anyway, let's go and do a sudo. Yeah, and say insert and say this is from EC2 1. Okay, I've written this. You can go and see what we have written. This is what the text that we have written. So we are good now. What we are going to do, we are going to detach this file, and we are going to attach to another machine to see if this data persists or not, because we are saying Amazon EBS, the data will be persistent. Now to do that, now we cannot just do this. We have to go and unmount this, right? We have to unmount this before we actually remove this. So what we will do, sudo umount what? Whatever we mounted in the EBS test, go and do a umount, means unmount. Now after we unmount, if you go and see EBS test, what will happen? Let's see. See, nothing is there now because we have unmounted the drive, so there is no data there. Okay, that's fine. Now what I want to do, I want to create another machine and attach it here. Let's see. Go and open this in the new tab. Okay, I'm going to launch a new instance and okay, my new EC2 something. Okay, it's going to be again Linux server, so we will leave the default as it is. And very important, we need the key pair because we have to log in, right? So we need the key pair. Select the key pair, whatever we already have, 723, and the network settings, edit here. Since this machine needs to be created in US East 1C, you can go and select your 1C here. So there is 1A, 1B, 1C here, right? 1C. If you don't select, it will go and create somewhere else, right? And security groups are already there. Okay, I have already created some security group. Let's go and select that. That has open access to the SSH, so I should be able to SSH. And this is by default 8 GB that will be created for the root volume. Okay, so go ahead and launch this instance. Once you launch this instance, go and refresh here. Okay. Here is the EC2 instance that is coming up. Copy this public IP address. Go to that place and just try to log into this machine. So throughout the class, I may be using mostly this Linux mimic terminal only. It's very easy to connect. This is another machine running in the same availability zone. Okay, I have ls blk. Go and say only that by default 8 GB alone it is there. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to attach this volume. I'm going to detach here, and we're going to attach it. I'm going to detach this volume from that machine. Okay, it should already be detached, I believe. Just give it a few minutes. It will be available. See here, it is available. Now, I want to go to attach this machine to another machine that we just created. Go attach this volume to which machine? My EC2 new, right? To this machine and say attach volume. Now you have attached the volume. Now you can go back here. You can see here 10 GB. This has been attached. So this one or this one. Yeah.
So Chandra, one thing, suppose we are not detaching that volume and directly attaching here also, will it allow or it will not allow?
No, you cannot. Also? You cannot. At any point of time, only one volume can be attached to one machine.
One machine, okay.
Yes. So without detaching, you cannot attach to another machine.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so now we have this 10 GB already, it's showing up here. Now let's go back and check our file system is there or not, right? If our file system is there, then all the things should be there. See, your file system is preserved, so you don't have to do a reformatting again. You don't have to create a file system again. All that you need to do is just go and mount it. That's it, right? So let's go to sudo mkdir/ebs test, whatever name you want, right? It's up to you. And go inside this ebs test. No, you don't have to even go there also. Just say sudo mount what? Mount to dev xv df on what? /ebs test. So now this is mounted. Go back here and say EBS test, and see here the data is already there. This is from the first machine that we written there, right? So this is how you can go on write, attach, detach data volumes from one machine to another machine, and you can write something from here and detach this, and so that also can be done. So what we are going to do now, I'm going to show in a different way now. I'm going to write something in this file, in this one, and I'm going to take a backup of this volume, and we are going to create a new volume out of the backup and attach it to another machine and see what happens, right? So that's what we are going to see. So what we are going to do, we are going to create another second.txt. Okay. This is all just example, right? You can go and create whatever you want. It's up to you. This is from my second EC2. Okay. Right. Now, if you go and see, I have first and second. Second is written from the from here. So let's go and see. We have everything. Okay. Now we just need to unmount this. So just say sudo. You don't even have to unmount it. Okay. Let it be here. We don't have to unmount it. Let's go and take a backup of this, and we are going to create a new volume and attach it to the previous machine. You can do a lot of things. Whatever you want, you can do. Okay. So don't worry about that. Okay. So this is the data volume that is actually attached to the machine 2. So copy this data volume and go to actions and say create snapshot. Snapshots are nothing but backups of the volume. So create a snapshot. So we need to give a description, something, right? My data volume snapshot. Okay. And you can give the name of the snapshot if you want, right? Go ahead and give the name of the snapshot. My data volume snap, right? And go and create a snapshot. That means you are creating a backup of this. Okay. We'll do this. Okay. And once the snapshot is started, go to snapshots here. You will see my data volume snapshot is getting created. The first time the backup will take some time. The subsequent time will be faster because it has to take the full backup. Just wait for a few minutes. This will be up, and then we will try to create a volume out of this backup and attach to the previous machine to see if all our data are backed up and still it is there or not, right? So that brings our full cycle. So this is a manual backup that we are taking. Then we will use the lifecycle manager to show you how to schedule the automatic backup, right? In the organization, we cannot do manually. So we will only schedule it automatically to take the backup. So maybe every night at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock or whatever time, right? So the snapshot is complete. So what we can do, select the snapshot from this backup.
Chandra, sorry to interrupt. I have a doubt on snapshot. So if I delete my volume and after deleting, I mean, using the snapshot, can I go directly and attach the snapshot?
Yes, no, you cannot attach the snapshot. You have to create a volume from this snapshot and attach it.
Okay, it's just like
snapshots are just a backup.
Okay, got it. Screenshot. Okay.
Yeah. So
by
here,
using that, it will be happy. Okay.
Correct. So here we have created the snapshot. So we are going to create a volume from this new volume from this snapshot. Okay. So again, how much GB you want, right? Again, one more thing. Whenever you are creating a new volume from the backup, you cannot reduce the volume because it had 10. We cannot make it 9. You can only increase the volume. Okay. Please keep that in mind. Okay. I'll put 11 GB. So we know the difference, right? And which zone I need in 1C because my machines are all running in 1C only. New wall from my snap, right? This the value. Okay, new volume from snap. Don't get confused with the names, right? Give appropriate names. You should be okay. Now you will not see in the snapshot. Go back to the volumes and check if that volume is getting created. Go and refresh on this. See here, new volume from snap, and it is 11 GB and it is available to get attached. 11 GB. Go select this guy and attach this volume to which instance? To my Linux server already that is running, right? So I have to, this is my old machine, and if I do ls blk, I have only my root volume 8 GB, nothing else. Let's see what happens after we attach it, right? So select this, come down and say attach volume. Okay, after you attach the volume, go and run your block type. You can see here 11 GB. 11 GB the new volume is created, and let's go and see if we can mount this guy and find out, right, whether we have the data, all the data that we created as backed up, and we are able to access it here. So for that, what we will do, we will go and say sudo mount dev xvdf, mount on what? EBS test. We already have EBS test. Mount on this folder. Go to EBS test and see you have everything. So we have created in another machine. We create second in another machine, and you can see all these things. Right? This first was created from another machine, from this old same machine. Then we created a backup, and from the backup we created a volume, and we are able to see. So this is how you can say they are all persistent. So EBS volumes are persistent. This is how you attach, detach, and take a snapshot, and from the snapshot how to restore the backup, right? All those things we saw, the complete use case we saw here. Now let's go back and see, talk about this snapshots. Whatever we did was a snapshot, was just a manual snapshot. Okay, apart from this, what are other options that we have, right? You can copy the snapshot. Where you can copy from one region to another region. Okay, you can copy from one region to another region. I want to copy this snapshot from here to Mumbai, right? You can do this. Okay, you can copy this snapshot, and what else we can do? We can modify the permission of the snapshot. What do you mean by modifying permission? Either you can make it public or you can make it private. Okay, and you can also share it with other AWS account. So I have my account. Maybe one of you, if I share your, if I put your, this is the account ID, 12-digit account ID. If I put your 12-digit account ID here, add account and say put your account ID, then you will be able to see the snapshot. So I'll be sharing my snapshot with you. So that also can be done. When you make it public, it is available to everybody. By default, it is always private. Okay. So that you can do with the snapshot. What else we can do with the snapshot? You can create a volume from the snapshot. You can create image from the snapshot. You can copy them. You can modify. You can manage fast snapshots restore. This, when the data is more and the volume is very big, you can use this to restore your result faster. You can archive the snapshot, and you can manage your tags for the snapshot, and you can also delete the snapshots. Okay. Again, please be very careful. These snapshots, if you don't delete it, it will get charged. Okay. So we need to be careful. After we are done, we'll have to go and clean up. I'll show you the final way to clean up. Right. So we have done all these volumes. We have seen what is this volume, how to create, attach, detach, and create backups and do that. Now let's talk about how to automate these backups. Right. Now I cannot go daily and take the backup. So we can automate this using something called lifecycle manager. So whether you want the target resources, you want the entire resource to be backed up, or only the volume to be backed up, it's up to you. You can go and select it here and which one you want to do, right? So enter a key, name, and enter a value. These are all the values here. I want to say, I want to do what to say. put my data volume, right? I just wanted to go only do this. Come down. You can put some description. These are all optional. You can put some description, and you want to have a role created. So you can have a default role. It will create a default role, and this is the permission that will get created for our default role. See, this is what we saw in IAM, right? JSON object, and we saw this how to interpret this. We used a analogy called DAD, and you have to see this based on that. When you scroll down, you can enable this, and you can also go ahead and say next. And here is where you will not need to what happened. So this is a required one, right? Right, life cycle rule. It's not optional. Description is also required. Okay, do next. Now here is where you need to create the schedule. Frequency, whether you want daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, or custom cron. Custom cron means if you are aware of Linux, you can say how much time, or say I want to run every 50 minutes, 30 minutes, and all those things. So just learn about this. Go to crontab.guru site. This is all. This is how you need to. This is the notation, right? There will be 5 stars, and each and every star represents something. Always you need to read from right to left. Okay, the first one, sorry, left to right. You need to read from left to right. The first one is minute, second one is hour, third one is day of the month. That is 0 to 30. Okay, and then month is from 0 to 11, and your day is from day of the week is 0 to 6. 0 is Sunday. Now let's say I want to run every 15 minutes. Okay, and only at 10 o'clock, right? At 10:15, I want to run on the day of the month, on 15th of every month. Okay, which month I want to run? Only in January I need to run. Okay, say 1, right? In January I need to run, and which day I want to run? I want to always run on Sunday. So at 10:15 on the day of the month, January 15th, every January 15th on 10:15, I want to run this job, right? If you put this is a cron expression, right? That's what here we have. Either you put a cron expression, or you can go and say they have some default, like say daily backup. I want to take every 12 hours, every 24 hours, every 1 hour. You want to take some backup and go and do that. And starting time, what time you want to start the backup, right? So all the timestamps in your AWS is UTC. What is UTC? Can anyone say me? What is UTC? So there are different time zones like GMT, IST. UTC is Universal Time Coordinate. Okay, Universal Time Coordinates. Okay, so we are in actually IST. Right? IST is nothing but your GMT plus 5.30. Right? 5.5 hours from Greenwich Mean Time. So you can go and check what is the current UTC for your time now, and you can set it accordingly. Suppose if I want, now it is 8:43, I want my this one to run at 9 a.m. My time, then you need to go and say, go to Google, "9 a.m. IST to UTC." See, 3:30 a.m. Saturday will be your UTC. So 9 a.m. for us is 3:30 a.m. in UTC time. So that you need to go back and you need to change here accordingly. And then if I want it exactly at 9, that means 3:30 a.m. So I go back here and set it as 3:30 a.m. (3:30 a.m.) 3:30 a.m. Now if I run, the schedule will start running at 9 a.m. our time. And then this is the retention time. How many last backups you need to retain, right? How many last backup you need to retain? How many snapshots you want to retain? You can say count, always keep 5. When I say 5, say you are taking a backup on Monday, you start from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. When you take the next backup on Saturday, The backup that you took on Monday will be deleted. You will have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So always 5 will be maintained. It is up to you to give whatever number you want to give. Either you want to go by count or by age. Age means expire in 10 days, expire in 20 days, right? After creation, days, weeks, months, and years. So these are all different options you have. And once you do that, you should be able to, when you review the policy, you should be able to initiate that, and during that time, it will take automatic backups. So it's always preferred to take automatic backups. So if you lose data, you can go back and restore from the data. Okay. So these are all the things that we have for our backups. Okay. So what we saw today, we saw all these things here, different types of instances, how to create instances, and we talked about volumes. We took these volumes and we talked about volumes, and we will see the next in the next class, right? A lot of things that we need to cover, and everything we will be doing hands-on only, just what I'm doing now. So make use of this recording, and I will share you the comments and the PPT. Please go through that and get yourself practice yourself, right? Let's do a cleanup, right? It's very, very important. In order for us not to kind of get any charges, right? After we are done with our work, do one thing. Go to this instance, whatever instance that you created, right? Say Windows, before you kind of destroy, please come out of these things if you're already there, right?
So Chandra, one doubt. How to, am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So for connecting the EC2 instance in Putty, it's like same in the mobile XTEM also, right? The same procedure, right?
Yeah. I wanted to let you know about mobile XTEM also. So Putty is the reason that I'm showing Putty is, in your organization you will be provided only with Putty. Okay, they will not give you mobile XTEM or other Hummingbird and all those things. They will not give you. There is another client tool also called mobile XTEM. You can use this to connect to your this one. Let me show you that also, right? I think you asked that. That's good. So let me see if we can connect to that also using mobile XTEM. But in all your organization, Putty only will be there because that is highly secure, and these are all open source, so they will not use this. How to do this in Putty? This is your mobile XTEM. You can download this. It is a free tier only. Click on session. So mobile XTEM will allow you to connect using SSH, Telnet, RCH, RDB, anything, right? Let's go and click SSH. And this is my host. I need, what is the username? I know my username is EC2-user. And this is my port 22. Go to advanced SSH and use your private key, because we need a private key to log in. Go to this private key and select your private key, 7:23 p.m. 7:23 p.m. and then go to here. Very important thing is it's all GUI based, and you can see your windows in as separate tabs. So that's very, very easy for you to work when you have multiple windows. Go to terminal setting. Here you can go and change your colors and all those things, right? You can go and do whatever colors you want, right? You can put default, it will be black. If you put solarized dark, it will be in green color or whatever. Let's put this green color and I'll show you. And go to this bookmark settings, and you can bookmark this as some name, say my Linux machine, right? My Linux, and say okay. See what happens.
Is this getting recorded? This what is?
Yes, everything is getting recorded.
Okay, thank you.
See here, this is what the difference between your Putty and your mobile XTEM. And you have an option to kind of double click this and duplicate this tab. So you will get another tab here. So you can work on different commands here. Okay, you can work on different commands here in both the windows. So that is the advantage of this. But again, this will not be allowed in your organization. That is why I showed you Putty. Putty, if you want to open multiple sessions, you have to have one by one. You cannot have tabs like this, and you cannot switch tabs and all. Okay, that's the only difference. But the way that how we connect is different. But after you connect, everything is same. Okay, just keep that in mind. Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Chandra.
Okay. Yeah. So we will be basically whenever we are spinning multiple machines, then we will be trying to use this MobiXterm. And MobiXterm has a nice feature where it's called multiple execute. So you can execute. Suppose you want to run same command in all the 6 machines, you can use that multi execute and just type the command only once. It will get executed in all the 6 machines instead of you logging into all 6 machines individually, right? So that is also possible. There are a lot of things in this MobiXterm. Okay. So come out of putting. Okay, we are done now with all these things. So let's go and select all the. By default, when you create a machine, the root volume, there will be a checkbox called delete on termination. Okay, let's go and check that. This checkbox will be enabled. What's happening here? Yeah, here. This is the root volume. And by default, there will be deletion termination. That means if you want to delete this volume, when you delete the machine, you can mark it as yes. If you mark this one as yes, you cannot get the data back. That is why always your data should be in data volume, not in the root volume. Okay. So since we have by default it is yes, most of the volumes created from the machine by default will be deleted. So let's go terminate this instances here. The 3 instances that we created, right? We can go and terminate all these guys. These are the 3 we have: my Linux machine, my Windows server, my EC2. Select all these 3. Go to the instance state. You have option to stop. You have option to start. You have option to reboot. There are some instance type which will have hibernate. Hibernate is nothing but going into sleep mode. That's all. Nothing else. So let's go and terminate this instance. Once you terminate this instance, it will ask you for the warning, and it will also delete all the volumes associated with this root volume. That's what it's saying, right? The following volumes are not set to delete on termination. That is this volume that we created separately. These 2 will not be deleted because we did not ask it to delete on termination, because we created custom this one. Let's go and terminate this. Okay, wait for this. It will be terminated. It will change the status to from shutting down to terminated. And once it shows terminated, it will be visible in your dashboard for at least half an hour or so, and you cannot do anything with those machines. So everything is gone now. You cannot log in, you cannot do anything. So this way you can keep your account tidy. So once these are all done, see here, it's already turned to terminated. We have one more that needs to get terminated. Okay. So this is shutting down. It is in the life cycle of terminating.
Yeah. So Chandra, when we terminate this one completely is done, and when we go to the volumes section, so all those also gets deleted automatically.
Yeah, all the root volumes, wherever you check the box, delete on termination will get deleted. Let's go down to volumes. Yeah. Go to the volumes and go and refresh here. Okay, just hold on for a few minutes. All your volumes will go. These 3 volumes that I have is for my another machine here, another 3 machine for Ansible. Okay, that I did not delete. I just only stopped it. So that is still available. Other than that, we have only 2: the data volume and the new volume that we created from the snapshot, right? So only these 2 are there. All the root volumes are deleted.
Sorry to interrupt. Snapshots will also be deleted?
No. As I told you, we have to go back and delete the snapshot because snapshot is a backup.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have to delete it separately.
Yeah. If you forget this, you will incur some charges. So please always make sure you delete the snapshot after you're done with your work. Okay, it's done. Now go back to the volumes and go and delete all the data volume that you created. Okay, now if you go back and see, it will say they both are available. That means they are free. Now you can go ahead and delete this. Go back and you can either create a snapshot or you can delete the volume. and you need to give a confirmation saying delete. Only then this delete button will be enabled. Even if there is a space, this will not be enabled. So you need to give the correct word here. Most people copy this and paste it here, right? Whenever you are deleting anything related to data or RDS database, they will ask you for 1, 2, 3, 4 confirmation, because once you delete it, you cannot retrieve them back. Okay. So now they are all gone. So everything is clean. So the 3 machines that we have created, all those are terminated, and the volumes only that are just stopped. These are the root volumes for these 3 machines. Okay, these are the 3 machines, and see, these 3 are terminated. This will be visible in your dashboard for another maybe 30 minutes, then it will go off. Okay, so now we have a clean thing that whatever we started today, so this one is tidy. Now tomorrow, if I want to create another new EC2, I will go ahead and create a new one so that I get used to how to create it, right? How to connect and all those things. So that is what we had for today. And just a small request, if anybody's name is left out here, please ping your Gmail ID and your name and your phone number. I can give you access. So let me read out the names: Shruti, Kibir, Senthil, Rajesh, Hari, Bashir, Abhinav, Saran, Gopi, Revati, Varun, Nitya, Rahul, Jagan, Ashok, Subhash. If somebody's name is left out, please ping me in the WhatsApp group. I will give you access. So I hope you guys are already aware how to access it. Anyway, let me say you how to access that also, right? Go to drive.google.com. Don't hit on my link every time, right? It's very simple. Just go to drive.google.com and under shared with me, click on shared with me. Then you will be able to see this particular folder which says AWS Besant July 7 a.m. This is the folder that I have given you all access to. Okay, so what you can do, you can go and you can right click on one of this and you can download single. Please don't remove it. You can download this, don't make a copy, just download it. Or you can go here and say download. It will download the entire folder. It will zip and download the entire folder for you. Okay, so that's what we have. Any other questions you guys have?
Chandra, I have a question regarding IAM roles.
Yeah.
So actually, I have created a roles. So I have a doubt that I have to create user. What is it? IAM user for that to use that role. So I have created one user, IAM user. I have attached that. That STS policy I have attached. So that role that is belongs to that. So after that,
No. Users, you can only, there are 2 things. One is policy and rule, right? One is policy, one is rule. Policies can be attached only to user.
Okay.
Only users, for users only you can attach policy. Okay. When you will, you can create a policy, create a role out of that policy, and the roles can be only attached to AWS services, not to users.
Okay.
Okay. So when EC2 wants to talk to IAM, or IAM wants to talk to EC2, we need to create a role and attach it to EC2.
Okay.
So only policies are, you can create policy and attach policy to the users, but you cannot attach a role to the user.
Okay.
And Chandra, one more thing, like the users which we have created, that also required to be deleted, like U1, U2.
No.
Those are also chargeable, or it's free?
No, it's free. Don't delete the user. But don't create like 1,000, 2,000 users, right? So I told you 5,000. So you want to check that limit, you can create up to 5,000. But please keep 1 or 2 which you are using and delete the rest.
Yeah.
Okay. No, Nitish, I cannot give you access to the other domains other than your Gmail ID. Okay. This access, this is a Google Drive. I can give you access only for your Gmail ID. So please ping me your Gmail address alone. Okay, fine. So if you go to roles, you can create users, and when you create user, you can attach policy for the user, but not for the roles cannot be attached. Only the policies can be attached. See here.
STS assume role is there, right? So what does
Yes.
that mean, Chandra?
We will talk about that when we talk about IAM. Those are for your services. STS means secure token service.
Okay.
Okay, that is for providing temporary secure token for you. Okay, that we will not use for the user. That is for when two services talk to each other.
Okay.
We'll talk about that. For now, just create a policy. If you want, you can create a policy, or you can attach an existing management policy from AWS and create the user. So this is an IAM user that I have, that I have attached two policy. One is administrator access, another is the billing access. See, when you attach the administrator access, basically you get everything. You don't have to attach the billing access separately. But for some class, I wanted to show something, so I attached billing for myself. But you can actually just attach only the administrative access. That's more than sufficient. Okay, so this is how you can create users, you can create groups, you can categorize your users into groups, and you can do all the things that we saw in the last class. Okay.
Roles is not covered, right, Chandra? Sorry.
No, the roles are not covered. That's why I told you for IAM we have two classes. One is basic, just to create users and how to log in, create IAM users, because we need to continue with the class. Then we have 6th or 7th class, we talk about only IAM.
Okay, Chandra, got it. Thank you.
That is where we will be deep diving into IAM. Like we will see how to connect. We will kind of get to know the concept, how we kind of log into Facebook and how we are able to access the AWS, right? All those things we will see there.
Okay, Chandra. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So if anyone's name is left out, please share me your Gmail address along with your name and phone number, and I will be able to give you access. So Nitish, I think you need to provide me your Gmail address. Please provide it in our WhatsApp group, right? Not here, in WhatsApp group.
Okay.
I will go.
Okay, I'll send it in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, sure. So what is this domain? IAMNK. What is that about?
This is also like a Gmail email ID only.
But the Google Drive works only with the Google Mail.
This is a Google Mail, Google Workspace.
Oh, this is a Google Workspace. Huh? So let me try this. I'm not sure. Let me try this. You can access it, right? Right away, let me give it to you. I don't know. I'm not sure about this. So see if you got any notification, and you can go to drive.google.com and see if you are able to access.
Okay, just a sec.
So I will upload this commands that whatever we saw today as well. So you guys can make use of these commands. If you are having any queries, please ping me in the WhatsApp or give me a call. If I'm in some other class, I'll I'll call you back. If not, I'll call you immediately. Okay.
Yeah, I'm able to access it.
Okay, good. I didn't know that. Okay, that's good. Something we learned today. Okay. So I'm going to upload this PPT that we have, and also the commands that we did today, right? So all this will be hands-on and everything will be recorded. But again, as I told you, unless you start working, you will not get a grip of that, right? Because I know what I'm doing. I've done so many times, so it's easy for me and it will work for me immediately. Okay. Okay. All right, guys. Anyone has anything else before we close for today? Tomorrow we will start off with other options we have, and kind of we will be doing everything hands-on, right? We will be talking about networking, and we will be talking about images, how to create our own AMI, right? I have an application. How do I create my own AMI? Now I'm using Amazon's AMI. How do I create my own AMI? Okay, so those things we will see, and we'll also talk about, try to see if we can cover load balancing also tomorrow. Okay. All right, guys. Anything else from anyone before we close this? Any questions? And who are not joined the last classes, right? Please take a look at these videos here. They're all, we went very slowly. If you're still not able to understand, please let me know. Okay. Okay. All right, guys. Yeah. Thanks, everyone, and we'll meet tomorrow. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks. Chandra. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Yeah.